Welcome to Layback with Betfair. Joined by the A-team, we're back. Welcome to Layback with Betfair. It's a huge weekend of racing coming up, a feast of group racing across Caulfield and Royal Randwick. My name's Nick Foote, your host. Joining me this week, same crew as last week, a bit of continuity. Welcome back, Clancey. Reece, we'll start with you, mate. How's things?
Very well, yep. Had a good week. I bounced back, I felt, with a pretty good performance last week. So keen to get into another great day's racing Saturday.
There were a few Tom Kitten messages getting around on the group chat. You were pretty happy with yourself?
Well, considering I was down and out the week before, I was giving myself a good pat on the back about Tom Kitten. He was good first up with the big weight. So hopefully we can roll into this week.
Well deserved. And the Equine Genius, welcome back. How did you fare first up? I think it was pretty positive.
Pretty strong. I think we were 7 or 8 units up. But I think all three of us are in the green. So always a good way to start.
Absolutely. Boys, we're going to get into some huge racing a little bit later on, but we do have to start off with the LayBin. And Clancey, I'm going to throw to you first, mate. What's sending this week straight into the bin?
I'm going to send fixture changes into the bin. This is quite personalised, so sit back and relax. But what happened was I've got a semi-final for footy. All scheduled for Sunday. I've got an event in Adelaide Friday night. So it's like beautiful. Saturday, catch up with the family, go watch some local footy over there, come back Saturday night. And then the fixtures come out, a revamp, and now I'm playing Saturday morning, 6 a.m. flight I've got to be on out of Adelaide. Like that's up at 4:40 a.m. I'm in big trouble. And so I went from having a great weekend planned to very little sleep and probably very little touches on the Saturday as well. So a bit flat about that.
If you need someone to chat to at 4 a.m. Saturday morning, I'll be up.
The Div 12 Resis kick off at about 9 a.m. too, don't they? That'll be a pretty quick turnaround from the airport.
They're after the Div 15, mate.
Oh, no, yeah, you can't be doing that just a week out. Good little vent. Mine's personalised number plates. Grow up, basically. If you have personalised number plates on your car, you just need to take a good hard look at yourself and grow up. It's as simple as that.
Have they just got like too much money to spend?
I don't know.
Like, I thought spend extra money to get a personalised
I thought I saw Goodwin 69 in the street actually when I pulled up. That wasn't your...
No, I sold that car.
Okay, yeah.
Sold it with the number plates about 5 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
I reckon we've got like a birthday present sorted here, like footy with like the E as a number 3.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, I like it. I'd put those on for you, Clancey. Very good. Hey, boys, nice addition to the LayBin. What we'll do now, though, is we will head into Caulfield, which is Group 1 card, Memsie Stakes Day. Some terrific racing. It was good fun dissecting the form yesterday, wasn't it, ahead of this? It makes it a lot easier when there's some good races to really go through the form. Clancey, I'm going to throw to you. The rails in the True are going to get good conditions. You expecting it to play pretty fair?
Pretty fair, yeah. I think the main thing to take out of the Caulfield meeting is just that 1,400 metre starts. That's a really tight turn into that first one, so you don't want to be drawn out wide with no speed. The rest of it's going to be really fair, I think.
Well, I'm excited to talk about that 1,400 metre start when we do get up to the Group 1, the Memsie. There's some interesting barrier draws there that we can dissect. Let's kick it off, though, in race number 5, which is the Group 3 McNeil Stakes. For the 3-year-olds, set weights and penalties, 1,200 metres. Jackson Oldham won the race last year. Brooknut won it in 2021, and 2020 was Immortal Love. Speed map. Deadly Pass, Coincide, La Zebra from out wide. V8 looks to get a lovely trail. Good box seat. Hedged and Legacy's other speed influences. Is that how you're seeing it?
Yeah, Barb's probably going to be the interesting one to see where Shin decides to put him. But I completely agree with the rest of it. You're probably going to have She-Light coming from the back. An interesting one's that He-Man or Hammond that Snowden have got with Zara. Looks to have plenty of ability and a bit of an engine. But yeah, couldn't agree more. I think I'm going to be going head-to-head with one of our men later on here, but cars on board Legacies for Moody and Coleman, and a really interesting setup for this horse because unbeaten so far, 2 starts. First race was really slowly raced, got to sit up on the speed, still managed to finish really, really strongly. Didn't put in a great rating that day, and then next start was a really, really fastly run race, and was able to sit on the back of that and absolutely bolted away by 4.5 lengths. And that was a really impressive rating, that one there. Coming back here, I'm just going through here. So had a jump out with Moody's She Dances as well, leading into this. ran past her as well. So could just have a lot of talent, this horse. Might want the 1400 metres already. That's going to be a little bit of a query, whether it's just come a bit too soon. But I think we're getting $6 already, and if we speak to Jacko, we might even get $7. But I'm actually pretty keen that runs a decent race here.
Yeah, look, a really interesting race. I was really struggling to find one here, and I've actually ended up landing on Hedge down the bottom, which I don't think she's the best filly in the race, and probably not going to be the best filly going forward, but she's probably the fittest of them. She's going to be third up. She was pretty good first run when there was a fair bit of spruik about her first up at Moonee Valley on that, obviously, pretty ordinary track where you had to be leading it on the fence, and then she was put them away with ease at Seymour, which your boys are telling me wasn't a great rating race, but I just think she's going to get the right run behind the speed. I think she's third up. She's probably going to be a little bit fitter than this. There was a number of horses here I just wasn't sure how they'd come back. V8 jumped out okay without being brilliant, I thought. Little Bros was good first up without, again, being brilliant, I thought. Barber, I thought possibly could have trolled better for a $3.80 chance in Sydney. La Zebra looks to go really good, but he's drawn 11. The one I was with last time, and I really hope it doesn't make me look silly, is She Light, but probably going to have to concede a lot of ground again. But if they do overcook it up on speed, she could certainly be one that makes good ground late, but I'm probably looking to find her at 1400 third run. But yeah, pretty open race. I'm just going to go on an each way basis with Hedged and just hope she probably runs a place, really.
And you're taking a set against the Hedged.
Yeah,
you're hedging.
If anyone out there is backing Hedge with Reece, I'd say BSP's your way to go. I don't think the $8 on offer at the moment will be the longest you get. I think, as you were saying, Seymour Maiden up to a Caulfield 1200, big step up. Just based purely on ratings, probably going to have to come up 3.5 to 4 lengths from that to contest this. Who knows? He very well may be able to do that, but not many can. So happy to take a set against the price of Hedged.
Well, I'm with the 3. I'm with V8 here, boys. And look, I watched the 800 metre jump out at Bendigo and thought he worked home well enough in between runners behind Gringotts, who was one of the runs of the day last week at the Valley, first up last week. I think he would get better out to 1400. I just love his map here. I think he's a reasonable price, 750. He's also a market watch as well, I think, V8, just to see how he parades in terms of if you want to bet with any confidence. But I'm just happy to spec V8 at the price that he's at the moment in the McNeil. Let's head to race 6 now, which is the listed Heatherley Stakes. It's over 1,700 metres. Emissary won this race last year. No effort back in 2021 in the leopard print silks. This is a ridiculously open race, so there's some class runners resuming here that are first up, will appreciate getting out further. Others that have endured some winter campaigns and they're rock hard fit. Look, speed map, I think Buster Bash looked the likely leader. Sir Luke and Jimmy the Bear, Flash Flood, they might be the other influences. I'm going to shoulder arms to this one. Too hard basket for me. Clance, do you want to play in this race?
Only very, very small. One of those ones where you can throw a few darts and miss plenty of opportunities. But the one that I think has a ceiling and a bit of upside is the Summit for the Hayes camp. It's a French import, has only had 2 starts in Melbourne, in Australia so far, one at Flemington, one at the Valley. Defied a pretty savage bias at Moonee Valley last start, hit the line well, building through the grades, and has some pretty incredible French figures. I don't think that he's going to be able to reach those again because they were back in 2020, so 3 years ago as a 4-year-old. Now as a 7-year-old gelding, probably can't reach those heights, but doesn't need to win this race. So I think at the $7, $8, I think you're getting a decent price there in what's a really difficult race that I'm not keen to play anything else in.
Yeah, no, same boat, guys. I'm happy to stay away from this race. I was on Macram first up, and he got a mile back from the wide draw, and he's probably going to have to do the same here. So I'll be holding his tail, hoping he doesn't make me look silly. I think there was probably only 2, I think, if you would want to have your money on, possibly, is Jimmy the Bear and the Summit, because they're the fitter horses, but are they good enough to beat the other class of horses? So yeah, I was happy to steer away from this race. Too tough for me.
Macram's an interesting one. Is it like if he had drawn a decent gate today, you'd be like ran the fastest last 400, last 200 last start.
He was the one out of that race, but I mean, he's going to come from 16 to 16 again. You're envisioning they're probably going to ride him the similar way. He's going to need a lot of things to work out for him, which it might, but yeah, you're not getting 41s. I think he was last time when he opened up.
Yeah, so Clance siding with the Summit, Mickey D for the Hayes boys, and that combination, I think, just preempting, like they're all young guys that are on the up. Like Mickey D's obviously Group 1 winner, but I think that's a very scary insight into the future, that combination in racing, particularly in Victoria. So good luck, Clance. I'll be cheering for you. Race number 7, the Group 3 Cockram Stakes. It's for the mares over 1,200 metres. Chain of Lightning won the race last year, probably back in 2021. Speed map here, Rote to Arataki looks the leader, Dance to Dubai. Be interesting what they do with Parasol from out wide. Dazzling Lucy and Papillon Club, they look the key speed influences. Interested to see how Daniel Stackhouse rides Benedetta as well, Clance.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. Like, we'll talk about this later as well with Devoted in the last, but Benedetta's got so much promise. And last start at Flemington, where really well proven she is, they put Tatum Bull on and just got there. Like some not particularly great horses just in behind. I think, what was it, Billy Thomas or something might have been right behind.
William Thomas.
Yeah,
he's a marvel.
He goes around in the 78 tomorrow night at Pakenham.
There you go.
Good form
right
race.
There. and so Stackhouse obviously an upgrade there, and has those massive figures just down the straight from last prep that puts her in the box seat for sure. Next one down is Where Does the Ceiling Lie for Say Magique. Really talented horse that has come off 2 really nice trials. In the Coolmore, beat home Buenos Noches and Lofty Strike, so obviously has a bucket load of talent. Trials suggest that she's almost ready to go, so I think $5 or $6 there, you're getting a really nice price. And then obviously you got the rock hard fit horse Parisal, who's been going really well. Pretty keen to lay her from the draw at 10. Got that tactical adaptability for sure, but needs to step up a couple of lengths to match it with the top 2 in the market.
Yeah, she's going to take a lot of fitness from that first up performance. She was cast wide in that race and sort of went to go forward, oh no, we'll sneak back, and sort of got caught out in a limb, and it was actually enormous to win first up. I'm probably talking through my pocket because I was with her as well.
Enormous.
There, fellas. Yeah, well, she was. You don't see good horses win from there. So I think they're going to have to be be intent in terms of what they do from that wide draw, whether it's go straight forward or ride for luck with Parasol.
Well, I mean, you had Van Overmeer on last start, and you're upgrading to Jamie Carr as well. So they've done everything they can do from their perspective.
Jeez, he doesn't mind an upgrade, does he?
Yeah, he's had a swipe at 2 jockeys in this race,
and then he's gone to.
And they both won on them, mind you. He hadn't even got them beat. They've done a terrific job, and they're still copping a fleet.
He's the equine genius.
True.
Yeah.
I'm siding with So Magique. I've been with this filly a long time. I was with her in the Coolmore, and she was brilliant, as you referenced. The form lines around her are exceptional. She's had a good break, and both her trials have been exceptional. She's going to get a good run from 2. I think she's a filly that'll really measure up to at least this grade and possibly even better. Benedetta at 270, I'm not going to get too excited about her. As we just mentioned, William Thomas was one of the horses she's beat. There was another one there that certainly had been Pioneer River, who got beaten Sydney last week. So I don't want to be jumping into a $2.70 pop that had just beaten those 2 horses. A trial between that run and this run was very good though, around Mornington course proper. The one filly I probably want to follow going forward, and she might went a little bit further, is Papillon Club. Damien Lane rides, and he's ridden her previously early in her career, and I think she's a filly he wants to stick with too. So she wants a bit further, but she should get a good run from 6, 1600 for her. She's a prolific winner. I think she's one we can probably follow into the spring.
I'm siding with Benedetta in this race, and I think we've failed to talk about something in that 84 that she kicked off in, and that's that I don't think she was ridden to her most effective way to be ridden. That's like in a fast run race, you had Sartorial Splendor setting up a ridiculous tempo, went some 8.2 lengths faster than to the 600 than the all benchmark. And she was exposed and she was 3rd. She usually settles a little bit colder and can unleash that devastating turn of foot, which is like her one would. So I think here in a race, Daniel Stackhouse back on board, there's some speed engaged. I think you'll just see getting a nice little cold run and unleashing her when she needs to be unleashed. So yeah, I'm pretty keen on Benedetta, even at the price at $2.70 at the moment. So that's the way I'll be playing. Parasol is the danger, and I'll be interested to see what Jamie does out of the gate.
Not a So Magique fan?
No.
Fair enough. Happy days.
Yeah.
Gives me confidence now.
Double your bet.
I'm sure I'll get a text message straight as the frame goes up if there's a salute there. Let's go to race number 8 now, which is the Group 3. Was it the Heath 1100 Stakes for the 4-year-olds and upwards, over 1100. Shooting for Gold won the race last year for the O'Day Hoisted team, and Masked Crusader back in 2021. And this is a corker of a race, isn't it? There's some speedy jets everywhere you look here. Midwest scratched last week in preparation for this, has just explosive gate speed. You got Generation from 1, Starry Legend from wide, can get shot out of a cannon if required. You've also got Magic Time, Wee Nessie, La Danseuse Rouge. They've all drawn wide and can be positive. How are you seeing this one unfold?
Yeah, pretty interested in this race. These 1100 metres are always hotly contested races, and I think as for as a horse that's probably had a lot go wrong for her over a short journey so far, and could have had an even better winning record than she already does. She's the one that I think wins the race, all things even. But the one I'll be playing mostly is the one you already referenced. Midwest was in last week, drew widest barrier in a really fast run race. Didn't set up well at all. And I'm really rapt they've come here because there's actually not a whole lot of pace here. I mean, as for is probably going to sit second or third. You got Generation will take the rail behind Midwest, I think. And then, yeah, La Danseuse Rouge, Wee Nessie, Magic Time, Starry Legend, they're all the ones that are going to want to sit midfield. So I think Midwest from barrier 5 just jets to the front and has that natural pace. Also has had 2 really nice jump outs. Beat Rackerman in the most recent one, who ran yesterday at Sandown and won really well for the Hayes team. So all things are looking good there, and that's 20 to 1 pop. So I think you're getting a really reasonable price there. Certainly will be saving my stake on Asfora because I think she's got plenty of upside.
Beautiful looking horse, Midwest too.
Well, that's good. Does that win races, does it?
Speedy. Out of the gate.
I'm going at a little bit of price here and probably going against everything I normally would from a punting point of view for a horse that's got 4 zeros next to its name and is first up from a Windot. But Masked Crusader trialled, yeah, correct.
You're ill.
I half did that when I said it too.
Yeah, you're sick.
And I'm going to side with him. His trial in Sydney was very, very good. He's 2 from 2 here at Caulfield. If he's going to be anywhere near his best, he's got to run very well in a race like this. Otherwise, I may as well just give up because he's probably at his best better than horses of this calibre. Or I shouldn't say better, but at least as good as Ashford and should be running in some Group 1s. But yeah, I'm going out on a limb here, no doubt about it. But he couldn't have tried any better. He was back and savaged the line, and that just proved to me that obviously I feel like the Hawks boys are pretty happy with him to bring him down here to Melbourne. I think he can run well. He'll be back off the speed. He'll probably be 3 pairs back, smothered up, and if he can finish off like he has previously at Caulfield, I think he can run well. And I think the market's half respected him only at $10. As I just said, he's got 4 zeros next to his name. I thought he might have been closer to 20 to 1. So we're only getting 10s, but look, it's a deep race, and I'm looking forward to watching this. Magic Time's another one that I've had a lot of time for. Probably just the draw that put me off with her, but yeah, it's a pretty good race. This.
We were chatting last night, and he goes, "Oh, you asked for a wins," and I said, just don't sleep on Masked Crusader. He's ran a really good trial. He's come back really well. The disrespect, he goes, I'm not even watching it.
No,
I hate
that's
that
right.
horse.
Yeah.
I mean, Reece is here referencing 2 from 2 at Caulfield from 2019 and 2021.
Back on the home desk.
Stats are stats.
You can you can control your narrative, and you have. So
He's a terrible. This is what I would Nick. Punters shouldn't hate horses because that will get you in trouble. If you put a hate on horses, you'll eventually get in trouble.
I don't hate the horse because
what do you hate then?
If he comes out and he runs, a really strong race and shows it on race day, away from this trial where you got 4 donuts next, the last 4 race days, then I might look to entertain where he's placed next start.
He's had a throat operation. That might have been what stopped him.
At the moment, first up, you couldn't give me your cash to get on him. But good luck. All the best. I'm with Asfora. For many of the reasons you mentioned, Clance, I just think she's a star. That preparation last time in frustrating. Was drifting favourite first up in the Oakley Plate. Ran well for 3rd. Held up at key stages at Group 1 level again in the Galaxy at the next start. 0.8 lengths off overpass in the Quokka when she did a bit of work and just peaked on a run. She's first up here. Lovely 800 metre trial at Stall. Maps to get the perfect run in behind the speed. I think Asfora is a really good bet. So I'll be siding with the favourite in in race 8 there at Caulfield. Hey, let's head to race number 9 now, which is the feature of the day, the Group 1 Memsie Stakes, weight for age 1400 metres. Snapdancer won the race last year and Behemoth went back-to-back in 2020 and 2021. First Group 1 in Melbourne for the season, fellas. Some big names lob here, and what I'm most intrigued about, and I think is going to be a great discussion point for this race, is the barrier draw and what's it mean for the fancy runners. So you're looking at the likes of Alligator Blood, who's drawn out wide 14. You'd think they'd just be going handlebars down. I Wish I'll Win, arguably one of the best horses in Australia, has drawn 1, but is a get-back type. Mr. Brightside, who's a first-up PB Lawrence winner, has also drawn wide, sticky 1400 metre gate. There's a little bit to unpack here, fellas.
At that 1400 metre start, if you had have given the connections of every other horse by those top 3, the choice to put them in, they would have said 14-15 for those 2, and I Wish I Win, put them in 1. Yeah. And that's exactly what's happened. So it's made it a really tactical race and a really fun race. I completely agree. I think Alligator Blood is the one. T. Clark just goes handlebars down, gets across, because it is such a short run to that first turn.
And uphill too.
Yeah, and it has that tactical versatility where it can just get to, it has that early speed that it can get to the front. I think I Wish I Win really has no option, in my opinion. It's not going to go forward. It's not going to bust up. You know, he's not going to bust himself up on an Everest campaign. I think probably sits rail, if not last, second last pair. And then Mr. Brightside's the interesting one. Whether he has the early speed to actually go with Alligator Blood and get to the front is probably going to determine for Willow whether or not he can win the race. I don't think he can. I think he probably ends up 3 wide midfield. And great horse, going really well, career best form, but I think probably just a bit too far and again, won't want to cook for the whole prep. Alligator Blood for me, rock hard fit, ready to win these trials. They look like a horse that they are prepared to win this race with, whereas a lot of the others who are up in the ratings, they've got targets later in the prep. Alligator Blood is here to win a Group 1 Memsie, and that's why I'm keen to back him, and he's just bloody tough. Once he gets to the front, he's so hard to get past.
He's old boots, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's old boots.
How long's he been underrated for? We've probably only really started taking notice of him after he won his 5th Group 1. He always just seemed to fly under the radar.
I still feel like he does. Like I'm still looking at this race going, I'll put around him.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's just a me thing.
Must be. Yeah, you do find hate on horses.
Oh,
so I'm going with, I think you and I here together, footy, Princess
rare.
Grace. Yeah, correct. Must be a good thing though.
Yep.
Down from Sydney, B Shin, a really good booking. She's going to get a great run from gate 3 off a good tempo. Her run first up was brilliant in inferior ground, which you'll touch on as well. She split Fangirl, Zaki. Either one of those 2 were here, they'd be well in the market too. She's done nothing wrong since she's come to Australia. And I think she's a great each way bet. I think she's a really safe bet. But I'm surprised you weren't sort of touching on Anavisto. She's a bit of a mare that you like. Yeah, go for it.
I wanted to find her really, because she's just a first up 1400
4
metre
from 6.
Bomb. And like they've kicked her off in the Group 3. I think it's the Tresity, that one. She's won back-to-back at Flemington in February. The stable have clearly identified that she's a first up fresh bomb, 1400 metres. And I wanted to find her, but I just didn't love her jump outs.
Yeah, fair enough.
She had, I think, 4 or 5 in preparation, and it just didn't grab me, but I did want to find her, so I wouldn't.
What's really intrigued me here is Damien Lane's been trialling her. He's won on Amenable, first up, brilliant win, and I feel as though he sided with Anavisto in a way. Jamie, I mean, it might be a little bit different like that. Jamie might have just got the ride on Amenable, but I do like that Damien's on it, and she's going to get a great run from 4. She should be dead set right on the back of Mr. Brightside and Alligator Blood if they come across, and she's only got to have a little burst of speed, and she's probably going to be somewhere in the mark. But a super intriguing race. I Wish I Win. That's absolute poisonous. $3.70 first up 1400 gate 1. We touched on that before the show, so really keen to watch. But I think safe bet Princess Grace.
Yep, I'm with you for all those reasons. Princess Grace, like when you're splitting, Zaki and Fangirl in the inferior going first up, you bring that fitness to Melbourne and you gain the services of Blake Shin. You're going to be very hard to beat. 4 from 4 second up, you're getting double figures about her as much as yesterday. She'll be with more support than that. I'm going to do one of the more controversial things that I've done on layback, and I'm actually going to lay I Wish I Win in this race because, you know what, this show's not just called Back with Betfair. We've got to find lays from week to week. I didn't last week, so I'm going to put my hand up and have a crack here. I just think there's too much against this horse in this race with bigger fish to fry. What's this, a $750,000 Group 1 when you got a $20 million Everest 6 weeks away? And for all the reasons you mentioned, Clance, you're going to be last back on the rail. Now, I know good horses tend to make their own luck and find gaps, and sure, he can win, but I think the stable are just going to be really happy to see an I Wish I Win get through the line really hard. So I think that price is the key here, and when you're putting up I Wish I Win 350, I'm happy to lay at that price for liability of we'll talk about units later on, but where are you going? Are you with the blood, aren't you?
Yeah, with the blood. Probably one of the best of the day. I must admit.
Best of the day, look out.
Of the ones that...
Not underrated in his books.
No, fair enough.
Of the ones I am worried about, Princess Grace is the one. So you guys have already found that, and got one of those great ratings profiles where ran a 94 first up, then a 97, and then 100. And even the 100 was in inferior ground on the inside. So you can see progression coming there. And as you mentioned, Shin doesn't get it wrong too often.
Just one more horse before we go. Duke de Sessa. I don't know if you remember footy. I think we tipped it on there was about 3 of us, I think, tipped it at 51s, at SP 11s, and had absolutely no luck. Jump outs have been good. Obviously wants a bit further, and probably going to be buried away from that draw too. But certainly a horse to watch through the line, and then probably obviously into the spring. I think it's a horse that the Eustace team, Mara Eustace team, quite like, and no doubt it'd be similar. Like I Wish I Win. There's bigger fish to fry, and they just want to see it run through the line.
Yeah,
but I just never forget that run.
That was the Doncaster.
Doncaster, sorry, 51s. Yeah. I think we tipped on the show, and it SP'd 11s and had zero luck.
Yeah, that'd be very us for people to come out and win this. Very good, fellas. That's a nice in-depth look at Caulfield. Before we do head to Royal Randwick for some terrific racing as well, we've got to head to our What Caught My Eye segment. And this week, Clance, you're going abroad.
Abroad in a very, very fancy way, out to the South Koreans, actually.
Okay.
But what caught my eye was, I think we can safely refer to it as South Korean Chautauqua.
Comfortably.
As a 2-year-old, 2-year-old colt getting back at $5 mark, you'd be ripping your tickets up a long way before it hit the line. Out of screen at the 300, doesn't just wins by a couple of lengths.
It was soft on the line. What was the? Well, do we have an in-play betting price on it?
Well, the problem is Betfair maxes out at 1,000, and I don't think that would have been enough. Yeah, correct.
SP $5 and it's about 100 lengths off them.
Yeah,
it's not
well,
bad.
Speaking of in-play prices, we might discuss a little $1 pop that footy got beaten last week, but we'll get to that bit later on.
I like it.
I'm cringing in my seat. Thanks for that, Clance. And our trainer of the week segment as well. This has been going great guns. The Twitter sphere's been coming for this. They've been loving it. Lots of engagement.
Is this what they tune in for mostly?
Yes, it is. Who is the trainer of the week as identified by our trainer here, Reece Goodwin?
It actually only came up yesterday. I did have another one, but I thought this was a really good effort from Philip Stokes yesterday. A horse first up for his stable, Tara Mansour. Hadn't won in nearly 2 years. It had plenty of races in between there, no doubt about that. Its last start was over 2,500 at Flemington. It was first up yesterday at a mile, and it won quite well. I thought it was a brilliant training effort for anyone to not have a horse in the winner's circle for 2 years, to come off from a break from 2,500 metre run, to have it ready to go first up 1,600 in town as well. I thought it was a terrific effort, and wish I could do something like
that. Outstanding, yeah.
And now the obvious question to come from that is, if you did do something like that, would you give yourself trainer of the week?
Yeah. I will pat myself on the back one day, no doubt about it.
And how well would a stable like that know that horse is going? Like, is that a shock to Philip Stokes?
I don't think so, no. It's Sheridan who rode the horse. Sheridan Clark is apprentice to Philip Stokes. And when she spoke after the race, they knew the horse was very well in itself. And, look, it might have been a little bit of a surprise. I mean, I think it started at 26s. But I don't think they would have dead set fallen over that at a 1. They would have known the horse was going quite well. Obviously, was going to be looking for a little bit further. Really hard, I find, to get a gauge at the Pakenham jump outs over 800 and 1,000, because there's generally some pretty sharp horses this time of year. So the stays can get forgotten about, and kicking off over a mile was actually a really good start from Phillips, rather than kicking off at 12 or 1,400. Obviously, he wanted to kick off at something that it could be competitive, and it was more than competitive. So hats off to him.
No, good insight, mate. Let's head to Royal Randwick now. We've got some cracking black type races up there to take a look at. The rails plus 4 metres, and look, Thursday. It's going to be good. The weather's fine, but is it? Like at Sydney, I've been dealt that hand before. Expecting it to be pretty fair, Lance?
Expecting it to be pretty fair. I think we're expecting in that good 4, soft 5 range. And with Randwick, they're just, most of the time when they're in that range, it plays very fair. You're not at too much of a disadvantage if you're sitting just off the pace. Obviously, statistics say if you're a back marker, it's going to be tougher, and if you're a front runner, it's going to be a little bit easier. But I think, if you're playing for a pretty fair race dependent on tempo rather than bias, I think you're pretty safe.
Nice. Well, let's start off in race number 6, the Group 2 Furious Stakes for the 3-year-old fillies run under set weights, 1,200 metres. North Star Lass run this race last year. Speed map wise, Platinum Jubilee, Amazonian Lass and Autumn Ballet. They look the clear speed influences in the race for me. Yeah,
and Amazonian Lass, I'm glad you touched on, because that's a really big change from last race. So all of these runners coming through the Silver Shadow and the Rosebud.
Yep.
And so that'll be the big change. So Amazonian Lass, I think, was either the best last 600 or second best last 600 of the race, sharing that title with Summer Loving in the Silver Shadow. And Amazonian Lass dashed back to the inside, had to come from a long way back. So it would be a much different race for that horse on Saturday. I think pretty ready, like, of all the Waterhouse and Bolt runners, gets a massive upgrade from last start. So I've got her marked at the $11 range, and it's 20-1, so half a bet there. It's just going to be one of those really interesting tactical affairs, because Jubilee goes forward. Autumn Ballet really hasn't put a foot wrong, going extremely well. Komochi's the one for Portelli that was the run of the race out of the Silver Shadow. I thought went through the line really nice. Looked like, hey, 1,200 for me again next start. I'm going to get a slightly better run. Going to be really difficult to beat. The one I'm probably keen to be against a little bit more is Tis Invincible. I didn't think the Rosebud, and the data says the Rosebud wasn't quite as good as the Silver Shadow. And when 6 horses go across the line within a length or just over a length, I think that probably goes to show. Having said that, probably a decent future ahead. I just don't think that the Furious on Saturday will be the one. So Komochi the winner for me, but Amazonian Lass and Summer Loving the ones who probably want 1,400 already, but I think they'll run a really good race on the weekend.
Well, you've just about mentioned all of them there, bar the one that I'm going with. And I was dead set swinging off her tail her first up run, because I'm giving her a mentor in the show, but didn't have anything on or have a bet on the show. And she was great, I thought. Mumbai Muse, sorry. She's drawn the pole again. She should get a very similar run. Same as we said with Princess Grace, she had to duck back to the inferior ground, and she wasn't far behind, obviously, Autumn Ballet, who's, as you said, doing nothing wrong. But if you're getting $6 there and you're getting about 16s for Mumbai Muse, who's going to get a very similar run, and I really hope it is on top of the ground this weekend, because I think she's better suited to firmer ground. Her third to what's the Annabelle Neesham horse, Learning to Fly, was really good, I thought. So she's still a maiden. She can be running in a lot easier races, but I think the team knows she's up to winning a race like this. And she's my only bet in Sydney, so I don't bring much to the table for the rest of the meeting. So hopefully I can just get a nice little double-figure odds winner up again.
Yeah, she was pretty unsettled before the race too. So if they do manage to get her settled, she could improve.
And that might have just been a first up thing. I hope. And she was probably a fraction too keen in the run too, which probably, alongside it was going to the inferior ground, she also petered a little bit that last 100. You know, she sort of ducked up the fence. Looks like she was going to be right in it, and then just the last 100 to a 50, she probably ran out of gas for all those reasons. She's probably done a brilliant job to finish as close as she did.
Excellent. I'm going a little 2-bet play here,
Tommy
fellas.
2-play.
Yeah, I am. I'm siding with the 2 runners out of the Silver Shadow and then out of the Rosebud that I think are the best to go with. And Autumn Ballet, well, she was the winner of the Silver Shadow first up. That race went 4.4 lengths faster than the 600 than the all benchmark, and she was able to keep clear and win. So I think she'll take plenty of benefit from that. Gets to a good track for the first time, stays at 1,200, but I think Hieronymus can somewhat offset that by leading here second up and being a little bit more positive and dictating the tempo. Waterhouse Bot second up are absolutely flying at the moment as well, so will only improve. Komochi closed off in the race fastest last 200 in that Silver Shadow, so is a danger, but just at the price discrepancy between these two, I'm happy to side with Autumn Ballet. The one out of the Rosebud is the filly Cigar Flick that I want to follow. So she reeled off the fastest last 200 metres of the entire meeting in that race and gets out to 1,200 metres here. I'm with you though, Clance. I don't know if the Rosebud went that well in terms of if it's the form reference to follow. It was a slowly run race, and you've seen the likes of Introducing and the Instructor They didn't go that well in the San Domenico. Griff in the up and coming didn't go that well. Karen hops on Cigar Flick from 5. He's going at 31.3% profit on turnover from his last 100 rides with Waller. So pretty good going. They're the two I'm going to play, both for a result in the Furious Stakes. Race number 7 is the Group 3 Concord Stakes. 3-year-olds. Sorry, not 3-year-olds. Set weights and penalties. 1,000 metres.
Far from.
There's a few that are a bit older than 3. Eduardo won the race last year at about 9.
Yeah.
Nature Strip in 2021. Guitra back in 2020. The speed map, some familiar faces up top in this race, isn't there? I actually love this race for what it's worth. You got Eduardo, Nature Strip, In Secret, maybe Handy, Remark from Barrier 10 will be an influence as well. How are you sort of seeing this race unfold? What sort of tempo are we going to get set up here, Clance?
Well, it's very rare that you say in a 1,000-metre contest you've got a 10-year-old and a 9-year-old that are going to lead the way. But that's what we have here. Eduardo only really knows one way, and Nature Strip obviously can take that sit now, but I think there's probably not enough other speed influences in the race for him to pull back at all. So I think those two will lead the way. Remark's the interesting one. I really wish that he had got a softer draw and was able to sit one out, one back, because since the gelding, last prep was pretty fantastic.
Looks like he's got a good turn of foot on him if he's bottled up away and gets a split late.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he did. First up, Randwick won over the 1,000 last prep and produced a career peak. I'm hoping that's the case again here, but I'm very mindful that he's probably going to need a bit of luck to settle in somewhere. So, I mean, you're getting $10. That's probably what you're hoping for.
With the speed, Clance, like if they do set up that hot early tempo, what can happen is those spots do open up though, and hopefully Remark can get some luck in running. That's a little bit of a sneak peek into where I might be as well.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
Now, a runner that I'm keen to get your thoughts on as well is obviously In Secret, got those massive peaks, and you can see when the coming stable say, all right, we're setting for the Group 1, or we're setting for the grand final. He just is so, she is so good.
I might hop in there and just talk about Godolphin's first up this year in Group 1, Group 2 and Group 3 races. So the stable's striking at 35.7% with a profit on turnover of 41.9% for first up runners in Group 1s, 2s and 3s. So that's from a 28 race data sample, so that's a fair size. So it is horses for courses still with someone like In Secret that has bigger fish to fry, but they certainly get them ready.
Yeah, and whilst that scares me, I'll be laying In Secret at
Going
the price
against the stats.
On the back of those stats.
And if it was 1,200, I'd be probably all over it. But she's never run at 1,000 before in her whole career, and kicks off here. And it's not as if the jump outs have been lighting the world on fire.
Darren Bevan was on Melbourne radio through the week saying that she will be much better for
I
the
heard
run,
that too.
and she's not fully screwed down.
Yeah.
So I can certainly understand why you would be popping her in that column, Clance.
Yeah, so I just think, again, I imagine she probably gets out from the current quote, and I'm hoping that Remark can produce first up like he did last prep.
Yeah, I'm with you on Remark as well. I just think, tick this track and distance box when first up last prep. That was in a benchmark 94, lugged the 62 kilos, and I think with luck in the early stages, I think Tyler Schiller could find himself in the 1-1 if they sort of go for it and spread out a little bit. He does his best work first up as well. So I reckon he can catch a couple of these that may have the bigger spring ambitions as you've articulated so well. So I'm with Remark, and I'm pretty keen in the Concord.
I cannot believe Bella Nipotina has not got a run here at all.
No, it's a good call.
First up last prep, she was half length behind Coolangatta, and I Wish I Win was there. Ben Mallam's going to Sydney for 2 rides. The other one's just in another shouldn't say ordinary race, but not in a big race. That had to mean something that they got Benny Mallam going to ride her. She's obviously not going to Melbourne, she's going to Sydney. And you're getting $9 from a soft draw. Anything from you boys? You didn't even get a mention.
It's outstanding. We actually discussed it off air, didn't we, Clance? And then we didn't bring it on. So, it's a good point. Clance, you want to take it?
She can't be out of it at $9.
No,
certainly can't.
I mean, I'll say to footy, this is my favourite horse, number 1 horse for the last 18 months. Love this horse. The trial's just so-so. Would have liked to see a little bit more there. I think before last prep, when she had that bottler of a run behind Coolangatta over the 1,000, she'd really trialled up nicely and looked ready for the task.
Yep.
Obviously, she's probably a touch better on soft going too.
Yep.
you know, you look at that career peak in the Manikato, and obviously that's going to scare anyone. Having said all this, I've got her marked $7, so I've got her marked less than the current market, so she's a small bet. But that's just the way I'm playing the race at the moment. But love to see her win again.
Yeah, I can't find a knock, mate. Like, to be honest, I just like remark off the trials.
How good is this for a Group 3 race? Like, we're talking about some horses that have nearly won some of our best Group 1s. And
it's a proper
race for a Group 3.
It's a proper lead-in race.
But I mean, you look at this, the Group 2s on the card are all worth 300,000. And then this is the Group 3 and it's worth $1 million.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
It just goes to show you the sprinting race.
We're a sprinting nation. Fast twitch fivers only here, guys. Let's enter race.
But you haven't seen my Division 15 game if you think fast twitch fivers getting around.
Race 8, which is one of those $300,000 races. It's the Group 2 Chelmsford Stakes, weight for age, 1,600 metres. Knight's Order won the race last year, Think It Over back in 2021, and Mr. Seawolf back in 2020. Speed map wise, last year's winner, Knight's Order, will run them along, you'd think. Lindemann, who had issues first up, will be handy from a much kinder draw second up here. Think It Over looks to get one of the run of the races as well. There's a few here that to follow from the first up sort of Wink Stakes runs. Clance, how are you assessing the race and who you're siding with?
Yeah, fascinating race. I think you preface this by saying I backed Think It Over and Montefilia in the Wink Stakes. So I think they both came up really well and I was keen to follow. They were at $11 and $26 there, and now you're getting $2.80 and $5. So that's the preface. I think something you touched on already was Lindemann first up. Was really keen. The market liked him. Gets a better run here. Had respiratory issues last start, so it's one of those races where you can forgive a good horse for one poor run.
Tommy Haylock was really keen on Lindemann on the show here as well, first up.
Yeah, don't think he's got over it.
I think he had to go to Europe after the respiratory issues. So but Huey sent him from 18, and a
few vapes over there for Tommy. He's got some respiratory issues of his own. Now, so Lindemann's one that I'm pretty keen on, but the other one took $26 the other day. We're getting $5 here now, but I think it's a much better setup for Montefilia here. That was Waller's first start with Montefilia. Now the second, obviously Waller's second up stats are fantastic. J-Mac's still on board. Barry 3, so just sits a whole lot closer than last time. Gets out to the mile. There's just a whole lot of ticks here. Ran that fastest last 600 of the Wink Stakes as well, so obviously has come back incredibly well.
Is their best form also more on top of the ground, her best ratings? Or is that just her stats that back that up?
Oh, well, career peaks are on a heavy night,
yeah, okay,
suggested she probably runs well.
And she's only. I just see she's only missed a place once, second up from 7 goes.
Yeah.
So you would only imagine she'd improve more. J-Mac stays on. She was the one I was sort of looking at without being too keen on the race.
Is she better out to 2,000?
You'd think so. Yeah. But it's one of those scenarios when you change trainer, you just never know what's in mind. Yep. Like whether they're training her to be a bit sharper over the mile rather than 2,000, and who knows, maybe she does get better over the 2,000. But she can probably still win. I think also the prize money of this race probably has actually. This race should probably be stronger, but it's actually not. Like you're saying, Think It Over's now $2.80. That probably just goes to show the strength of the race. I feel. You know, they started 26s and 11s, these two that we're talking about. Think It Over and Montefilia, now they're, $5, and $2.80, but there's not a lot else to really find, is there? Yeah. But the prize money might have something to do with it.
I wanted to find Montefilia. I marked her as one to follow from the Wink Stake with that fastest last 200. I don't know about the sticky draw suited further. I've got to need a good one from J-Mac from there getting back. But look, I can't go past the favourite here and Think It Over. Like, I just thought it was excellent first up in the Wink Stakes. Stuck on for 6. What was he? Something like 500 days between runs, and then produced that first
Silly
up.
Old me tipped him too.
Off a long layoff. Yeah, it was extraordinary.
Thought he was going to roll a hole up the straight too.
Well, you might have been a run too early because I'm with him here. I think he'll just bounce off that out to the mile. We love profiling, referencing history in this game, as you did earlier with Masked Crusader. But last time he ran 6 in the Wink Stakes back in 2021, he then went on to win the Chelmsford. So,
I like it.
If we talk about profiling historical data, there you go.
No wonder we're running late today. Yeah. Just going that deep into the data.
Well, he beat Riadini and gapped Montefilia that day. So
I'm surprised he hasn't brought up this season. But he normally brings up what the races used to be called 40 years ago. They normally get a run. He hasn't got that this season.
Yeah, when I'm digging for material, we'll get that. And I'm siding with Lindemann as well. I'm with you, Clance. Yeah, one that can improve off that first up performance, and for all those reasons mentioned in the vets, I think at $16 is a really big price. So I'll be playing Think It Over as my main play, making Lindemann a winner as well. Let's head to race 9 now, the Group 2 Tramway Stakes, 1400 metres. It's a back-to-back top race. Saki back-to-back in 2020 and 2021, and Dreamforce was back-to-back in 19 and 20. Big field engaged here. How are you seeing the speed of this race unfold? You've got likes of Cepheus, New Mandate, Communist, Pericles. Is it going to be run along at a pretty good tempo?
I don't think so. I think they're all horses, along with probably Palmetto, who might want to get up there too.
If it gets a run.
If it gets a run, yeah, correct. We got any scratchings yet? Yeah, we got 2 scratchings, so we'll get a run.
The Penco's coming down.
So I just don't think any of them really want to set a fierce tempo over the 1400. So you're going to probably want to be in those first few pairings because they might not be able to come from the back. Like horses like Hope in Your Heart's a great example. I think it's a terrific horse, had a great prep, probably just not getting the great setup. Democracy Manifest, another one in that boat. Alentia probably has a little bit more versatility that can sit a bit closer. But the one that I'm super keen on, I think the market's missed, is Zayrek, number 9. For the Hawks team, the last prep just went to a whole new level, and the peak of the whole prep was actually first up over 1400 at Rose Hill this time, so this probably suits even better. But ran a massive 102, and that was the one where it snuck up the rails, ran really well. Gets another great draw here from 2, so I think there's no real other option but to sit in the second pairing, and you're really close. Went through the campaign, went out to 2000 and ran extremely well in some great races. You know, was right in the heels of Zaki in the Group 2 up at the Sunny Coast, and ran behind Dubai Honour and Protagonist. Should have won against Protagonist at second up at the 1000. So we're getting $20 here. We're getting $5 a place in a race that is looking for someone to go and sit up on the speed and be too good. Alentia is obviously the main danger, and I do have Alentia quite a reasonable favourite at $3.90, but too short in the market at the moment. Is $2.20, $2.30, somewhere around that. Karen McAvoy on as well for the lightweight Waller runners. The stats obviously don't lie, but I don't like it. So Zayrek's one that did well by me last prep, and I'm going to stick with again. The other horse before I finish that I want to mention is going global. So J-Mac jumps on board, $26 mark. This is a Group 1 winner and a 4-time Group 2 winner in the US, and they were all on fast and dry tracks, like fast 2s. They were over the mile and 1800, but of the limited data that is available over in the US, there's a massive peak over the mile that wins this easy. So I wouldn't underestimate, especially because, first up when it did run in Australia was a heavy night. So given that all of her prior form was on a fast 2, I think you probably strike through that, and has looked reasonable in a couple of jump outs. So one that'll be going in the quaddie for sure.
Yeah, it's a good call. Just on Zayrek, I'm with you.
Oh.
Just as a play. And, well, if you like Remark's trial, which we obviously both did, you've got to like Zayrek. So, just at a cheeky price, Ridden Cold hit the line really nicely in that trial. It's proven first up performer, so I can play into Zayrek at 20s. But my main bet's going to be on the favourite, Alentia. She's a lightly raced weapon. So 6 starts, 5 wins. She's on the rise. Was back and wide first up in Benchmark 88 company, and open age. I think she was 58 kilos in the weights. That race went some 6.4 lengths faster than the all benchmark to the 600. From the 400 to the 200, she went 10.84, and she put them away in about 4 strides in that race. And she drops 4 kilos here on that run, and I just think looks a serious talent. So the risk is going to be pattern of day, how it looks, but my stake might depend on that come that time, and that's why we've got to be flexible as punters. But I think given all things fair, and I'm playing for a fair track, I think she's going to be incredibly hard to beat in the Tramway.
One I can just ask Clancy about, is this horse just always terribly underrated? Hope in Your Heart?
Yeah, I mean, that's
probably not from a pure winning point of view, but from an each way point of view. You've got like a horse that's ran 4th in a Coolmore, 4th in a Doncaster. Doesn't matter, wet, dry. Wasn't far behind, I think it was I Wish I Win in the Golden Eagle. Just always seems to run really well.
And that had tissue form when they gap third as well. The funny one about Hope in Your Heart is that Doncaster should have won it. It was 20th at the 400 metre mark of 20. Yeah. and almost got there. Again, just a map issue today. I think it's got a really nice spring ahead.
Yeah.
Excellent. Hey, that rounds out our tips at Royal Randwick. Hey, let's quickly head to Jackson this week. He got Magnus Spin beat last week. He's back.
He was back.
He's back, and this is what you can expect with Take On Me this week with Jackson Oldham.
Take On Me this week. It's Memsie Stakes Day at Caulfield, and I want to lay a horse in the McNeil Stakes. That's race 5, number 12, Legacies, the unbeaten 3-year-old daughter of Justify from the Pete Moody and Kath Coleman yard. This horse has plenty of upside, plenty of scope, but I just thought in the market at sort of $5.50, $6, she was way too short against a couple of the proven A-graders, A- horses in Little Bros, especially, and to a lesser extent V8 and She-Light as well. Legacies won a very slowly run race at Cranbourne on debut, was rails in run on that day, and it was heavily advantage to be up on speed and near the fence. I thought she was a little bit flattered by that win, and then went to Sandown in the Anzac Day Stakes. She was visually very, very impressive, but it was a fast run race and she just kind of picked up the pieces. Look, she could be a very good horse, but just at the price range first up against a couple of the proven horses, I thought $6 was too short, and I'm happy to put up $500 at $7 on the Betfair exchange.
Thanks for that, Jacko. Clancey, he was good last week. Are you with it? He's against you this week with Legacies, so you're going head to head with the great man.
Yeah, as soon as this goes up online, snap it up, because if you don't, I will.
With a little bit of confidence. I don't mind it either,
yeah,
to
that's
be
good.
honest. Hey guys, it's time to get our unit staking for the weekend. This is proving really costly, isn't it? Because, you know, Tommy Kitten, but how much do you have? You had a full unit, which got you right back in the game. So
something.
how you stake is obviously, you know, vitally important to how we profit on this show. Clance, how you playing this week?
Just the one bet at Caulfield in the Group 1 Memsie. We're going to go Alligator Blood for 3 units. Pretty keen that Timmy Clark gets across, just as we talked about. We'll head up to Randwick. Race 6, number 5, Komochi for a unit. Race 7, number 9, Remark for half a unit. Race 8 in the Chelmsford, Lindemann, at the big price, we're going to go half a unit. Montefilia, 2 units. And then come home at race 9, number 9, Zayrek, half a unit the win, 1.5 units the place.
Yeah, well, I'm using all my units this week, that's for sure. We're starting race 5, Caulfield, hedged, 1 unit each way. And then we skip across to race 7, Somajique, 1 unit each way. Masked Crusader, He'll sight me well, I reckon. Don't you think, Nick?
Yeah.
1 unit each way. The big one, Princess Grace, 1 unit each way. And then we just the one bet over in Sydney, Mumbai Muse, 1 unit each way at a juicy price.
Very nice. Well, I'm going to be side with V8 in the McNeil, 0.5 units to win. Then I like Benedetta in the Cockram, 1.25 units to win. I also like Asfura in the Heath at 1 unit to win. Number 13, Princess Grace, 0.5 units each way in the Group 1. And I'll also be laying number 2, I Wish I Win, with a liability of 3 units. Then we'll head up to Randwick. I like number 2, Autumn Ballet, 1 unit to win, and number 8, Cigar Flick, 0.25 units to win. And then with Remark, number 9, 1 unit to win in the Concord. Then I like number 1, Think It Over, 1.25 units to win, and number 7, Lindemann, 0.25 units, and then number 16, Orlentia, 1.25 units to win, and number 9, Zayrek, 0.25 units to win.
Get up, Zayrek.
I've no idea how many units I've outlaid there. Gamble responsibly. I'm sure we'll be fine. We've got a few in the bank anyway.
Sure you found something there.
Yeah,
surely.
Hey, today has been fun, fellas. I've enjoyed that. Good luck on the weekend, Clance, the equine genius. Good luck to Reece Crusader Goodwin, as he said.
It'll stick if he wins.
It will, big time.
Who's winning at Pakenham tomorrow night?
Never again.
Thank you.
Second last race tomorrow night at Pakenham.
Never again at Pakenham tomorrow night.
The old boy, big drop in grade, home track,
Okay.
Stayers Series final. The time honoured.
Has that been in Adelaide?
It's been in work about 18 months, I know
I
that.
think so. It's fit.
Yeah,
Good on.
correct,
Like
mate.
it. All right. Well, all the best, guys. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll see you next week on Layback with Betfair.
chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.